Every single person on Earth is a TI. Every single one. Every single soul is tracked from the cradle to the grave by advanced technology that you don't know exists. It's invisible to you and me. Why? Because these souls are the commodity that is, and also food and everything else. So we're here like cattle on a farm. Okay. The TIs are people that are very sensitive, who see through to the interdimensional. They see through to the side of this thing. They get a glimpse of what's going on. Like the people they live can see without needing the glasses. So they're immediately targeted. We've got one who can see! And at that moment, the hive is on you.
I've got one that can see.
He's a tall, Caucasian male, doesn't appear armed, wearing sunglasses.
May the collectors never succeed in taking our spirit away. What do you mean by that, Karina?
Well, as you know, with the, and you've probably heard from others before, is that this object, these beings, seem to take, and this is why I called it the collectors, they seem to collect all kinds of things from us, but it's not just on a physical level like our blood and our eggs, the sperm, and stuff like that. This also includes your emotional, your spirit, your soul, so to speak, your essence. It's extremely important to us. It's extremely important to us. Not just one. This was hundreds, probably thousands, or God knows how many, because there were many, many, many drawers, and this was huge. This wasn't just a small column. This was very, very big.
They're collecting us, our souls.
It's either our soul, our essence, our spirit. There is something definitely that they are collecting, which is not on the physical level.
Yeah, something that is beyond our understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you completely. There is something there like that.
There's many names. Regenet, Resal, Nectar. It comes from people.
The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, and all the energy they would ever need.
How many patients are there?
They're not patients.
But they're sick.
They were born sick. They're meant to be sick. They exist to be sick. Lab rats. No wonder the sisters have got a cure for everything. They built the ultimate research laboratory. A human farm.
The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
Just like you've seen documentaries in 8th grade science, how you saw the ants keeping aphids, these little green bugs, that they would stroke their back and the aphids would put out a liquid that the ants would eat. Just like we keep cows so we can eat them. Pigs. We farm them and eat their flesh and blood. So you'll create a whole planet of a managed Truman Show, a Matrix, that has a false reality.
You're the closest thing I ever had to a brother, Truman. Everybody is in on it. I'd have to be in on it.
We put it in with hokey religions. This is exactly what's happened on Earth. We have these ridiculous fanatical religions that prey on the fear of humans of finding the right religion and willing to kill each other in bloodshed. The Abrahamic Anunnaki blood sacrifice religions. So, and you notice they're the ones that create the trouble. The Buddhists and the Hindus don't create that much trouble. Zen masters aren't likely that much to go to war with each other. But it's these fanatical sky god religions of avenging sky gods, fathers, that create the blood sacrifice religions. So Earth has been a galactic farm for a long time, like galactic farmers have been using, feeding off our soul energies, our fear mostly. This is why they actually like war and blood sacrifice. It is in the blood. They drink the blood literally, or the energy that creates the blood. What could be more powerful than 750 million blood cells every day being created in your bone marrow? That's a lot of life force in your bone marrow. The magic in Father's bones, the bones, the relics, the blood marrow factory. I'm exposing some nasty shit here, but it's feeding off the blood. But even before the blood, the life blood, there is a life force, a life energy, the chi, the innocence. This is why stealing innocent life force is the highest commodity in the universe.
And what is the interest of non-humans in the container versus the soul, and what are they tracking about the soul-spirit entity of Homo sapiens?
Global corruption, the global syndicate, the bankers. Who are these people? Who are the individuals? Who are the puppet masters pulling the strings? You had mentioned the Jesuits in a previous interview, so I'm intrigued just to know where is the connection to the Jesuit order, as well as through the Vatican and beyond. There's many secret societies in the world. Many people speak of the Illuminati and the Masonic orders, the Order of the Garter, many of these super elite organizations that operate in secrecy. So I know I've named a few already, but if you could help us elaborate on these points, who are the people pulling the strings?
Well, do you remember when there were ghettos and you had something called a Judenrat that were the ones that would draw up the lists of the Jews that were going to get exported the next day. Do you remember how that system worked? These were traitors to their people who were helping because they thought they were going to save themselves. That's maybe why they did that, but it doesn't matter what their motives were. They were doing the work against their people. Think of this as an elaboration on a larger scale, and what we're dealing with actually is humanity and the elite, the secret societies, the Vatican. They're traitors to humanity because the one at the very core that's pulling the strings is a different species.
Welcome to slavery.
They're not the human race. They're called Homo capensis.
So you mentioned this species, an additional species of humans, or...
No, they're not humans. They are so distinct from humans that if they were to mate with humans, their offspring would not be fertile.
Now, are you speaking of the biblical Nephilim is an entity that people have discussed and tried to understand for millennia, and that is the race of offspring of humans and the fallen angels from...
No, these are not angels. These are not spiritual.
Well, the Nephilim themselves were the offspring of the fallen angels and humanity. Is this the same
species? They are not fallen angels. Mm-hmm. They are critters. They look just like human beings, except they have these big skulls. And that is why in the Vatican, you see these crazy meters, is what they're called.
Human livestock, a history of tax farming. The reality of political power is very simple. Bad farmers own crops and livestock. Good farmers own human beings.
What is the Matrix control system? We see a portion of it in the areas of government, military, medicine, finance, media, education, academia, and religion. These institutions engineer our belief systems and way of life. Their hidden architects may include secret societies, elite bloodlines, corporate syndicates, international bankers, government think tanks, and black ops military networks. Some call this the shadow government, the Illuminati, or the New World Order. This social political machinery is what many consider to be the Matrix. But in reality, these things comprise only the outer aspect of the Matrix, the part easiest to see, study, and believe in. They are only the branches, whereas the roots extend deep into the occult, alien, and hyperdimensional realms. To transcend the Matrix, we must understand the parts of the control system that originate beyond the political level of the conspiracy, for they are the avenues through which an immense effort of spiritual warfare is being waged against us. These deeper components include, first, the central brain of the Matrix control system, known by the ancients as the Demiurge. The Demiurge is said to be the soul of the universe. It is the all-pervading energy field that projects matter, energy, space, and time at a quantum level. The Demiurge is a non-physical artificial intelligence that in its original and rightful form fashioned physicality according to the divine will, except it has since broken away from the divine framework and become a parasite upon its own corner of creation, which is the universe we now find ourselves in. The Demiurge has shaped this universe into a cold, deterministic machine, a construct that perpetuates the illusion of linear time, that grinds onward without regard for the consciousness of its inhabitants, and that forces its subjects to live by the law of the jungle. These spiritually suffocating conditions are what allow the Matrix control system to exist. They lead to a mode of living that favors serving self at the expense of others. What was supposed to have been a nurturing womb, a growth matrix for the evolution of consciousness through physical experience, has instead taken on overtones of a spiritual prison. The second component of the Matrix includes all the non-physical beings that have taken after the Demiurge. In a realm of limited resources, there will be those who have developed competition, predation, and survival to a high art. Such beings are spiritually dead and cut off from the divine. They look to the living, such as ourselves, for their source of energy and entertainment. The more powerful ones, whom the Gnostics termed Archons, may be viewed as the henchmen of the corrupted Demiurge. Here on Earth, they preside over a network of negative entities that farm us for our soul energy. This network includes demons, parasitic thought forms generated by human suffering and perversion, as well as ghosts working in the service of demons. They are all non-physical predators that roam around and instigate human suffering at every opportunity, mainly to feed off the soul energy released. They are energy feeders, mind manipulators, and tormentors that play us like fiddles if we are not aware. They can orchestrate misleading synchronicities, create accidents and freak illnesses, insert foreign thoughts and emotions into us during lowered state of consciousness, and they can induce schizoid symptoms in the vulnerable. The third component consists of alien collectives that have manipulated mankind in every way conceivable since the dawn of our species. They have shaped our genetics, history, beliefs, and want full control of our planetary destiny. Unlike demons, aliens are physical or quasi-physical beings who possess superior intelligence, psychic abilities, and technology. Within certain limits, their technology allows them to alter matter, energy, space, and time through the use of demiurgic energies. That is why aliens are architects of the Matrix control system. The fourth component is our own biology, which is largely a product of alien genetic engineering over the eons. Our bodies have been designed so that our perception is limited to only the 5 physical senses, and so that our drives are primarily those of the body and ego. It takes nothing to perceive the physical world, and yet it takes everything to reach up and connect with the spiritual world. By default, the odds are already stacked in the control system's favor. We perceive just enough to graze around the cattle farm, but not so much that we easily find a way out. The fifth component consists of empty or programmed humans through whom aliens, demons, and thought forms can work. People who are not in conscious control of themselves are open to control by something else, whether momentarily or permanently. Almost everyone is susceptible to being momentarily influenced when not paying attention. This includes friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, politicians, authors, or celebrities. The ones who are completely empty or deeply programmed are permanent agents of the Matrix. They function as hired clappers for the control system, or as walking mouthpieces for the alien agenda. Or they simply act as background characters that prop up the status quo.
And looks down and closed eyes, and another pair of eyes drop down over the closed pair who's reptilian.
I am totally convinced for myself that there are extraterrestrials, or what we call, or what have been called by government, EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities, EBE. And these extraterrestrial biological entities are biological creatures, but they have the ability to take on human forms. They can look like humans if they want. There's no doubt in my mind that those different ones are here from different places in the universe. Some have come from far out, some have come from near. But out there, some of those entities out there are enemies with each other.
Oops. I think I'm drooling a little. Because we're aliens. And that's how we roll.
Imagine this, okay? I lived alone. I was a college student, and I woke up to odd sounds in my apartment. And I thought somebody broke in. I jumped up. I went to go and react, and there were these two small gray alien beings standing in my living room.
Subverting the proof of alien life is because alien life is actually taking up habitation within most human consciousness, and from there projects the fear reality that many people consider to be everyday life.
And so we came up with our perfect plan.
Crab people.
If you can't beat man, change man.
We've been so conditioned to think that aliens are green creatures that come down in ships and start blasting us, but the reality is far more sinister and horrifying than that. These beings exist within our very language, our very thoughts, our very thought patterns. I know that's very difficult for some of you to grasp, but they can exist inside of you in the form of thought forms, in the form of negative thought forms, and they reproduce themselves via language and your things you say throughout the day.
I might be probably the first white man, Aryan German man, who is admitting something to you. I want to admit to you that white people originating from Northern Europe, these white people are not really human from this earth, like black people are, Indian people are, Asian. Some of you may know, the tall whites are not really earthly human.
It is no longer your world. This is the future, and humanity is all but extinct. We have been invaded by another species, who erase our minds to take our bodies. But there are a few of us left who still fight back.